Have you ever reached the end of a day, a week, or even a month and felt a quiet, gnawing sense of unease? You were busy. Your calendar was full, your inbox was cleared, and you were constantly doing something. But what did you actually accomplish? What did you create? There's a strange paradox in our modern world. We are more connected than ever, with the sum of human knowledge in our pockets. Yet we feel more scattered. We have tools designed to make us more productive. Yet we end our days feeling drained and unfulfilled. It's a feeling many of us share, a silent ache of a life lived in the shallows. One person described it as their brain feeling atrophied and weak. They remembered a time they could read a 500-page book in a single sitting. But now, a 300-page book feels like an exhausting effort that takes months to finish. Another shared a story of hitting rock bottom, realizing they had spent an entire day, a day meant for studying for a life-changing exam, scrolling for 13 hours straight. They said, "I care more about strangers online than my future, than my dream job, than my friends and loved ones." This isn't a personal failing. It's not a lack of willpower. It's the result of the world we've built, a world that thrives on our distraction. We live in a culture of connectivity, where being constantly available is seen as a virtue. We've created workplaces with open offices, constant emails, and endless meetings, turning us into what author and computer science professor Cal Newport calls human routers, frantically passing along information, but rarely creating anything of value. This state of constant, fragmented attention is what Newport calls shallow work. These are the tasks that don't demand much of you mentally. The logistical things you can do while distracted, answering an email while half listening to a conference call, posting on social media. These efforts don't create much new value in the world, and they are easy to replicate. They keep you busy, but they don't move you forward. But there is another way to work, a way to live. Newport calls it deep work. He defines it as professional activities performed in a state of distraction, free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These efforts create new value, improve your skill, and are hard to replicate. Think of a scientist solving a complex theorem, a writer crafting a novel, a programmer building revolutionary software, or a strategist developing a game-changing business plan. This is the work that matters. It's the work that leaves you feeling satisfied at the end of the day, not drained. It's the work that builds careers and, more importantly, a life of meaning. And here is the crucial idea, what Newport calls the deep work hypothesis. The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. In our new economy, there are two core abilities you need to thrive: the ability to master hard things quickly and the ability to produce at an elite level in terms of both quality and speed. Both of these abilities depend entirely on your capacity for deep work. As automation and AI begin to handle more and more of the shallow tasks, the one thing that will remain uniquely human and uniquely valuable is our ability to think deeply. The world is becoming a superstar economy, where the very best in any field reap a disproportionate amount of the rewards. And the one thing that unites these superstars is their commitment to depth. So, the question becomes, how do we reclaim this lost superpower? How do we train our minds to resist the siren call of distraction and dive into the depths of focus? How do we transform our work from a series of frantic, shallow tasks into a meaningful craft? That is the journey we are going to embark on together. It's not about working harder, it's about working deeper. And it begins with understanding that you have a choice in how you structure your life. If the idea of deep work feels intimidating, like you'd have to lock yourself away in a cabin in the woods, abandoning all your other responsibilities, take a breath. Cal Newport emphasizes that there is no single one-size-fits-all approach. Deep work is a skill, not a personality trait. And like any skill, it can be integrated into your life in a way that fits your unique circumstances. He outlines 4 distinct philosophies, 4 different paths to the same destination of focus and fulfillment. As we explore them, I want you to ask yourself, which one resonates with me? The first is the monastic philosophy. This is the most intense approach. It asks you to radically minimize or eliminate shallow obligations to maximize time for deep work. Think of the science fiction writer Neil Stephenson, who famously avoids email and most public engagements so he can dedicate his mental energy to writing. This path isn't for everyone, but for those whose work is defined by singular, massive, creative output, it can be incredibly powerful. It's about creating a life where deep work is the default, not the exception. The second is the bimodal philosophy. This approach is less extreme, but still requires significant commitment. It involves dividing your time into clearly defined stretches, some dedicated to deep pursuits, with the rest open to everything else. A famous example is Bill Gates and his Think Weeks, where he retreats twice a year to a cabin to do nothing but read and think, completely disconnected. On a smaller scale, this could mean dedicating 2 days a week entirely to deep work, with no meetings or emails, and leaving the other 3 days for shallow tasks. It allows you to reap the rewards of intense focus while still engaging with the connected world. The third, and perhaps most accessible for many, is the rhythmic philosophy. This philosophy argues that the easiest way to consistently start deep work is to transform it into a simple, regular habit. The goal is to create a rhythm that removes the need to invest energy in deciding if or when you're going to go deep. This could be as simple as setting aside the first 90 minutes of every workday for your most important task. No email, no phone, just focus. By making it a recurring block on your calendar, like a non-negotiable appointment, you build a powerful routine. This consistency trains your brain to anticipate and prepare for focus. Finally, there is the journalistic philosophy. This is the most flexible and often the most difficult to master, especially for beginners. It involves fitting deep work into your schedule wherever and whenever you can. A journalist might have an unexpected hour free between interviews and use that time to write a few hundred words of an article. This approach requires the ability to switch into a state of intense concentration at a moment's notice. One writer shared how she used this method without even realizing it, cramming in 400 words on her lunch hour, or writing for 2 hours at a coffee shop before her day job began. She valued these short bursts, and, knowing her time was limited, was able to focus intensely and be more productive than ever. Monastic, bimodal, rhythmic, journalistic. These aren't rigid boxes, but flexible frameworks. You might even find yourself blending them, perhaps adopting a rhythmic approach for your daily work and a bimodal approach for a yearly personal project. The key isn't which one you choose, but that you choose intentionally. You must decide in advance how you will make space for what matters. Because deep work doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't appear in the leftover scraps of your day. You have to fight for it. You have to schedule it, protect it, and build your life around it. So, which path will you take? Once you've chosen a philosophy for deep work, the next step is to build the structure that will support it. Waiting for inspiration to strike is a terrible plan. Relying on willpower alone is a recipe for failure because our willpower is finite. The key, as Newport explains, is to build rituals. A deep work ritual is a set of routines designed to minimize the friction of transitioning into a state of intense concentration. It's about sending a clear signal to your brain that it's time to focus. Great thinkers throughout history have had their own idiosyncratic rituals, and you can create your own. Your ritual should answer a few key questions. First, where will you work and for how long? This could be a specific place, like a quiet library, a conference room, or even just a particular chair in your home that you use only for deep work. The location becomes a trigger, and you must set a clear end time, not just a start time. Knowing there's a finish line makes it easier to commit to the intensity required. Second, how will you work once you start? This involves setting rules. Will you ban internet use? Will you turn your phone off and put it in another room? Will you have a specific metric to track, like words written per hour? This structure prevents you from having to make decisions in the moment, preserving your mental energy for the task itself. Third, how will you support your work? Deep work is like a strenuous mental workout. It requires energy. Your ritual might include starting with a cup of coffee, ensuring you have water nearby, or having a healthy snack on hand to maintain your focus. It's about creating an environment where your brain has everything it needs to succeed. To take this even further, Newport adapts a powerful framework from the business world called the 4 Disciplines of Execution, or 4DX. The first discipline is to focus on the wildly important. You can't do everything. Identify a small number of ambitious, high-leverage goals to pursue with your deep work hours. Having this clarity about what truly matters provides clarity about what does not. The second is to act on the lead measures. There are 2 types of metrics: lag measures and lead measures. A lag measure is the result you're trying to achieve, like the number of books published. You can't directly influence it. A lead measure, however, tracks the new behaviors that will drive success. For deep work, the ultimate lead measure is time spent in a state of high concentration. If you focus on consistently putting in the deep work hours, the results, the lag measures, will follow. The third discipline is to keep a compelling scoreboard. You need to see your progress. This can be as simple as a physical calendar, where you mark off each day you complete your deep work session, or a note card where you tally your hours. Seeing the chain of successful days grow creates motivation and a powerful feedback loop. And the fourth is to create a cadence of accountability. You need to regularly review your performance. This could be a weekly review where you look at your scoreboard and ask yourself honestly, did I meet my goal for deep work hours? What went right? What can I adjust for next week? This isn't about judgment. It's about learning and refining your process. These rituals and disciplines transform deep work from a vague intention into a concrete practice. It's no longer a matter of feeling motivated. It becomes a part of your professional life, as ingrained and non-negotiable as any other important commitment. It is the structure that allows you to consistently produce work that is not just good, but exceptional. Building the structures for deep work is one half of the battle. The other half is training your mind to thrive within them. And this requires a direct confrontation with the forces of distraction that dominate our modern lives. Cal Newport argues that we have often accidentally trained our brains to be bad at deep work. At the slightest hint of boredom, we reach for our phones for a jolt of novel stimuli. This Pavlovian response, repeated hundreds of times a day, wires our brain to be uncomfortable with the sustained, quiet focus that deep work requires. To win this battle, we must learn to rewire our brains. The first and most countercultural rule is to embrace boredom. Instead of seeing every empty moment, waiting in line, walking to your car, sitting in a waiting room, as an opportunity to check your phone, see it as an opportunity to practice focus. By resisting the urge for constant input, you are strengthening your mental muscles. You are teaching your mind that it's okay to just be present, to just think, or to just be bored. This skill is essential. If your brain can't handle 5 minutes of boredom without a hit of distraction, it will never be able to handle 2 hours of intense deep work. You can take this a step further with what Newport calls productive meditation. This involves using a period of physical activity, like walking, jogging, or even showering, to focus on a single, well-defined professional problem. The goal isn't to let your mind wander aimlessly, but to direct its focus. You identify a problem, review the relevant variables, and then work towards the next step in solving it, gently bringing your attention back whenever it strays. It's a powerful way to practice concentration while getting insights on your most important projects. The next rule is to quit social media, or more accurately, to approach all digital tools with intention. Newport doesn't advocate for a blanket ban on technology for everyone. Instead, he proposes the craftsman approach to tool selection. First, identify the core factors that determine success and happiness in your professional and personal life. Then, for any network tool you use, ask a simple question. Does this tool's positive impact on these factors substantially outweigh its negative impacts? Many of us adopt tools for any minor benefit they might offer, without ever considering the immense cost to our attention and focus. Be ruthless in this evaluation. Your attention is one of your most valuable assets. Don't give it away to services that don't provide a massive, tangible return. Finally, you must drain the shallows. Shallow work is inevitable, but it must be contained. One of the most powerful ways to do this is to schedule your entire day, including your shallow work. Time blocking, where every minute of your day has a job, prevents you from defaulting to the easiest, most distracting tasks. Schedule blocks for email. Schedule blocks for internet use. When you're outside those blocks, those activities are forbidden. This culminates in what might be the most important habit of all, the shutdown ritual. At a specific time each day, say 5:30 p.m., you stop working. Completely. You say a phrase like, "shutdown complete," and you don't allow your mind to return to work concerns. No more checking email, no more thinking about that project. This gives your brain the downtime it needs to rest, recharge, and process the information subconsciously. A day filled with deep work leaves you satisfied, but a day where work never ends leaves you perpetually stressed and anxious. This is a rebellion. It's a rebellion against the culture of busyness and the economy of distraction. It's about declaring that your focus is too valuable to be fractured, and your time is too precious to be spent in the shallows. As we journey deeper into this practice, we begin to realize something profound. Deep work is not just a productivity technique. It's not just about getting a promotion or producing more papers. It is a pathway to a more meaningful existence. It is the foundation of what Cal Newport calls the deep life. The deep life is a life focused with energetic intention on the things that truly matter, in your work, at home, and in your soul. And a life that doesn't waste too much attention on the things that don't. It's a philosophy that recognizes that a life of intense focus on a few vital things, even with its ups and downs, is far more satisfying than a comfortable life of haphazard numbness. Neurologically, we know that our brains construct our worldview based on what we pay attention to. When your attention is constantly fragmented by shallow concerns, emails, notifications, social media updates, your world becomes a reflection of that, anxious, restless, and superficial. But when you spend significant time in a state of deep focus on a meaningful craft, your world takes on that quality. It becomes a place of meaning, importance, and satisfaction. Psychologists have a name for this state of deep immersion: flow. And they've found that it's one of the most rewarding and happiest states a human can experience. But the deep life extends beyond your desk. Newport suggests that to build this life, we must strive to divide our focused attention among four crucial categories. First, there is community. Your family, your friends, the people you choose to invest your time and attention in. A deep life requires nurturing these connections with the same presence and focus you bring to your work. Second, there is craft. This encompasses your professional work, but also any high-quality leisure or hobbies that require skill and dedication. It is the act of creating, building, and mastering things that matter to you. Third, there is constitution, your physical and mental health. A healthy body and a calm mind are the bedrock upon which all deep efforts are built. You cannot focus deeply if you are exhausted and unwell. And fourth, there is contemplation, matters of the soul. This is about connecting with a philosophical or ethical framework that gives your life meaning and helps you navigate hardship. For some, this is religion. For others, philosophy. For others, a personal code they develop through reflection. These four pillars, community, craft, constitution, and contemplation, are all interconnected. A healthy constitution enables better craft. A strong sense of contemplation provides the template for what is important in your community and your work. This is the ultimate goal. Not just to be more productive, but to be more present. Not just to build a better career, but to build a better life. A life where you are the craftsman, and your attention is the tool you use to shape your days with purpose and care. The journey starts with a single, protected hour of focus. It starts with putting your phone away. It starts with the decision to choose depth over shallows. It is a quiet rebellion, a turning inward to reclaim the power of your own mind. It is the choice to live a life that is not dictated by the frantic beeps and buzzes of the outside world, but is instead guided by the steady, quiet hum of your own deep purpose.